Coming up on Messenger. Today, we're exploring the story of Joseph, a young man who faced betrayal, false accusations, and years in prison, but never gave up on God's plan. His story reminds us that when life feels unfair, God is still working behind the scenes. Plus, we've got a powerful devotional, a fresh-faced segment about finding purpose in unexpected places, teen talk on forgiveness, and an inspiring interview with Henrique Silva. It's all coming up on Messenger. Hi everyone, I'm Adrianna and welcome to Messenger. Today's episode is packed with powerful stories and reflections. Our focus is on Joseph. He was just a teenager when his brothers sold him into slavery, but his life didn't end there. God had a bigger plan. Joseph went from a pit to a palace, from prison to purpose, and through it all, he kept trusting in God. His story reminds us that no matter what we face, God can redeem every chapter. Let's start with our student devotional.
Hey everyone! Today we're diving into the story of one of the most well-known youth in the Bible, Joseph. You might know him as a dreamer.
Yup, Joseph had these wild, vivid dreams from God when he was just a teenager. And let's just say he was not shy about sharing them.
He told his brothers, "Hey, I had a dream where all your bundles of grain bowed down to mine." Yeah, not exactly the best move when your brothers already think you're the favorite.
Definitely not. And the jealousy just boiled over. One day when Joseph goes to check on them in the fields, they threw him into a pit and sold him to some travelers heading to Egypt.
Think about that. One day you're at home, rocking your colorful coat, dreaming about the future, and the next you're being chained up, being dragged away from everything you've ever known.
But here's the part that always gets me. Joseph didn't give up. Not in the pit, not in slavery, and not even when he was accused falsely and thrown into prison.
Right? He stayed faithful. He worked hard. He honored God no matter what. And eventually, God honored him. Joseph ends up interpreting Pharaoh's dreams and becomes second in command over all of Egypt.
It's the ultimate underdog story, but it's also a story about trusting God even when life makes zero sense.
Because let's be real, we too have dreams, big ones, and then life happens. Plans fall apart. People let us down. Things don't go how we thought they would.
But Joseph reminds us that just because it looks like the dream is dead doesn't mean it is. God was still working, even in the hard places.
And here's what's really cool. Every part of Joseph's journey had a purpose. The pit, the prison, even the waiting, it all prepared him for the palace.
So maybe you feel like you're stuck in your very own pit right now, but like things aren't going your way. Maybe you're trying to follow God, but things are just falling apart.
If that's you, don't lose hope. Joseph's story proves that God sees you. He hasn't forgotten you, and he's still writing your story, even if you can't see the ending yet.
So stay faithful. Keep trusting, keep dreaming, even when life doesn't make sense. Because I'm telling you, the God who was with Joseph is with you too.
And just like Joseph, he can turn your struggle into something beautiful. You never know what's on the other side of faith.
Keep trusting, stay faithful, and keep being a messenger.
Welcome to Fresh Faith. Today we're talking about finding purpose even when life doesn't go as planned. Today I'm joined with Michaela.
Thank you so much for having me, Naya.
I'm so happy you're here. Have you ever had a moment when your plans completely changed? What was that like for you?
Most definitely. About a year ago, I lived in Calgary, Alberta, and I absolutely loved it. I had good friends. I lived in a place that I loved near the mountains. And then all of a sudden, my dad got a call to move to Ontario, and I was like, what? So it was like a sudden change, but I just believed that God was there. Even there was a purpose for that.
How old were you when you moved?
I was 15, so yeah, just last year.
Wow. Joseph went from being a favorite son to a prisoner. How do you stay hopeful when things don't go the way you expected?
When things don't go the way I expected, I always say a prayer, and my motto is his plans, not mine. I always keep that in my mind. His ways are higher than mine. There is a reason for things that go wrong. I might not understand it now, but I will in the future.
That's so true. What helps you trust God when it feels confusing or unfair?
I just say, you know what? God knows tomorrow. I don't. Just gotta trust in him.
Sure. Can you think of a time when something that seemed bad at first actually led to something good in the end?
Yeah, most definitely. Moving here was really difficult. But once I came here to Kingsway College, I made new friends and I joined the drama club, and I actually felt loved and seen at this school.
That's really good, especially when you moved here at 15. How do you handle those waiting seasons when it feels like nothing is happening?
Those waiting seasons, I just went through a 2-year waiting season. It was horrible, but I just started to use my talents for God. I love writing, so I started to write songs, and I was downstairs in the basement playing the piano for 3 hours straight, just writing songs, and I have albums of things that I've written.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
God works in many ways. Have you ever discovered a new purpose or strength in a tough situation? What did you learn about yourself or about God?
Well, in a tough situation that I went through is definitely with my health. I really struggled last year. I was going in and out of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I was always asking God, why? Why is this happening? And then someone told me when I was breaking down, I was crying, they said that God chooses the people, that he knows they're strong, so they can preach to people and be a witness to others.
I think this is a testimony, this interview right now, actually. What role does prayer or reading the Bible play in your life when you're trying to figure out what's next?
Well, what's next? I just read the Bible, pray, say, God, you know my life. I really want this to happen, but if it is your will, then let it happen, because even though I have plans, he has better plans.
It's true. Our lives are truly in his hands.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel overlooked, like Joseph in prison. What helps you remember that God still sees you?
What happens when God still sees me is definitely the little things. I see my family, I see my dog, I talk to my friends, or I listen to my favorite songs. Definitely stuff like that.
Why do you think God often uses difficult moments to prepare us for something bigger?
He uses difficult moments because Romans 8:28 says that God works everything together for the good. Even the bad stuff that happens, he knows the future, and these bad things are preparing us for something that he has for us.
That's really true. If someone watching is going through a hard time right now, what would you say to encourage them, to keep them going,
I would definitely say just wait. It's bad now, but it's going to get better. I know that you don't understand what is going on. A blindfold is on your face and you don't know where to step or anything. Mm-hmm. Just know that God is holding your hand and he is guiding you. He knows where your footsteps, he knows exactly where you have to be. So he will guide you.
That was really powerful, Michaela. Thank you so much for joining me today, Michaela. It was truly an honor.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Joseph, he didn't plan to be sold into slavery or to be thrown in prison. But in those hard places, God was preparing him for something great. Thank you, Michaela, for sharing your amazing story.
Hi Pathfinders, and welcome back. Today we're exploring another incredible story of courage and leadership in the Bible. Can you guess what it is? Well, it's the story of Esther. Esther's journey shows us the importance of standing up for what's right and how God calls us to lead with faith, even in difficult circumstances. Now, Esther wasn't just a queen. She was a leader who used her position to save her people. Her story ties perfectly into the Junior Youth Leadership Honor, which teaches us how to lead with wisdom, compassion, and faith. So let's dive right into Esther's story and discover what it means to be a leader like her. Esther's story begins when she was chosen to become Queen of Persia. She was a young Jewish woman raised by her cousin Mordecai, and she probably never imagined she'd end up with such an important position. But soon, Esther's courage was put to the test. A man named Haman, one of the king's officials, had a plan to destroy all the Jews in the kingdom. Haman convinced King Xerxes to sign a decree that would allow this to happen. When Mordecai heard about this plan, he was devastated. He sent a message to Esther urging her to go to the king and plead for her people. But approaching the king without being summoned was risky, even for the queen. If the king didn't hold out his golden scepter to her, she could be killed. At first, Esther was hesitant, but Mordecai reminded her of something important. He said, "Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther realized that God had placed her in the palace for a reason. She called for all the Jews in the kingdom to fast and pray with her. Then, with great courage, she approached the king. To her relief, he welcomed her and listened to her request. Esther revealed Haman's evil plan, and the king put a stop to it. Because of her bravery and leadership, the Jewish people were saved. Esther's story is a powerful example of what it means to be a leader. She showed courage, wisdom, and faith, all of which are qualities we can develop as leaders in our own lives. The Junior Youth Leadership Honor is all about learning how to lead others with these same principles. Let's take a closer look at some of the requirements for this honor and how they connect to Esther's story. The first requirement is to identify 10 qualities of a good leader. Let's name a few of Esther's. Esther demonstrated courage by taking action even when it was risky. She used wisdom when she planned and asked others to pray with her. Compassion was shown when she cared deeply about her people and their future. The second requirement is to learn principles of discipline and leadership. Esther didn't rush into her decision. She took time to pray, fast, and seek wisdom. This reminds us of the importance of being thoughtful and balanced in how we lead others. Another requirement is to prepare others for the goal. Mordecai helped Esther understand her role and supported her in fulfilling it. Similarly, as leaders, we can encourage and prepare others to take on important roles. It's important to understand the difference between juniors and teens. Just as Mordecai guided Esther as she grew into her role, leaders need to understand the unique needs of the people they're working with, whether they're juniors, ages 10 to 12, or teens, ages 13 to 15. Esther's story shows us that leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about serving others and trusting God to guide you. Whether you're helping younger Pathfinders, leading a Sabbath school group, or just being a good example for your friends, you can make a difference by leading with courage and faith. Now, if you're working on the Junior Youth Leadership Honor, take some time to think about how you can apply Esther's qualities to your own leadership journey. Remember, God places each of us in unique positions for such a time as this. Until next time, keep growing, leading, and trusting in God's plan for your life. Let's follow Esther's example and lead with faith, wisdom, and compassion.
This is a free offer from Hope Channel Canada. Visit hopestudy.ca today and find answers to life's most intriguing questions.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Teen Talk.
And today's topic is something a lot of us have dealt with: family drama.
Ooh, where do we even begin? Sibling fights, miscommunication with parents, feeling misunderstood. It's like a group chat where everyone's texting but no one's actually listening.
But real talk, Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It doesn't mean ignoring the hurt. It just means choosing to let go of revenge and trusting God to bring healing and justice.
Exactly, because holding on to bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to get sick. It hurts you the most.
Forgiveness is freedom. It's saying what happened was real, but it doesn't have to get to own me anymore.
So if you're dealing with family tension, here's what we want to say. You are not alone, but it's okay to be hurt. But don't stay stuck in it. Pray for the strength to forgive. Talk to a mentor, a teacher, a youth leader, someone you feel is safe.
And ask God to heal your heart. He's really good at turning broken pieces into something beautiful.
We know it's not easy, but imagine being the one in your family who chooses peace, who says, it ends with me.
Be the cycle breaker, the peacemaker, the messenger of grace.
We'll see you next time on Teen Talk.
Bye!
We're so excited to talk to you about a unique opportunity for students preparing for ministry. It is called the Field Experience Program.
It's a hands-on program where students get real-world experience in churches, conferences, and community outreach.
To help us understand more, we're joined by Henrique Silva, who's been closely involved with the program. Henrique, welcome to Messenger.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Enrique, can you give us an overview of the Field Experience Program? What is its purpose, and how does it prepare students for ministry?
So, the Field Experience Program is a 9-week practicum program that is done here at Bourbon University. Basically, it's a program that allows students, theology students, to work in the summer across different conferences in Canada. So they do spend that time working, shadowing a pastor in a local church. It is offered as a summer course, but of course you have requirements to fill, you have to do reports. But I think the most important thing about the field experience is that it allows students to actually practice and experience what a life of a pastor looks like. So it is very, very important actually. And it's a program that has been around since like 2008, last time I checked.
What are some of the key responsibilities that students take on during their fieldwork? How does it compare to the daily life of a full-time pastor?
Yeah, so it all depends, like if you're doing it for the first time, second or third, the requirements are quite different. So depending on your previous experience. For those who are doing it for the first time, you're mostly just shadowing the pastor. You do have to preach a couple times. You have to teach Sabbath school. You have to get involved in children's ministry. But now if you're doing for the second time or the third time, you have higher responsibilities. So for example, if you're doing for the second time, you have to chair like a board meeting. You have to be in charge of committees in the church. You have to lead the worship services. So it all depends like on your previous experience actually. And it's according to the syllabus, the course syllabus. Yeah.
The program has been running for several years now. How have you seen it grow and evolve over time?
We can definitely experience the life of a pastor. Of course, we are not in charge officially of anything in the church. We're just helping the pastor. But I think the main difference for me is that since it's only 9 weeks, you can actually make those connections. But because you're a pastor in the church, you actually have more time to build those relationships. So I think that's the biggest difference between being an actual pastor and working as an intern pastor for 9 weeks. It's the time that you have to spend with the congregation and, building relationships as well.
Students get hands-on experience in churches, at conferences, and even community outreach. Can you share a specific experience or success story from a student who has participated?
I don't recall any specific situations right now, but I think the biggest successes stories is like the students who actually graduate at Permanent University and they ended up working in the same conference where they were doing the field experience. I think the greatest success is being able to graduate at Berman in the theology program and sometimes go back to the conference where you're working, connect with the congregation again, connect with the office administrators. I think success is being able to put in practice everything that we learned throughout the program. And we have examples of students who graduated last year. They went back to the same conference, they connected with the same members, with the same pastors in the local church, in the local conference. So I think that's a huge, huge plus. Yeah.
This program allows first-year students to participate as well. How does that earlier exposure impact their learning and career development?
It is great, actually. I am an example of someone who was able to do it in the first year. I remember when I came to Berman University, it was a requirement that you should be in the second year to take it. But I'm so thankful that the religious department at Berman University allowed me to actually do it in my very first semester. So I'm doing for the second time this summer. I think this being early exposed to the field experience, I think there are two benefits. The first one is you are actually able to connect early with the local conferences since your first semester, which is important because when you get to the interview process, for example, the conferences, the church administrators, they know you already. But the second benefit is also looks great on your resume. In terms of career, if you have that chance of doing it for the first year, it looks great because you have those, 2 or 3 times doing the field experience, and that's a great, great plus when you go through interview process.
One of the major benefits of the program is networking opportunities. How important is building these connections for students preparing for ministry?
Last year, I worked in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a lovely place, beautiful place. And one thing that I really enjoyed about my experience last year is that because Newfoundland and Labrador is a small conference, right? It's still a mission office, but we have that chance of connecting with church administrators. And it's so nice to be there working with the pastor, but then the president is there helping you out as well. And I had also the chance and the opportunity to be working in the summer camp also. It was a great experience. I worked as a counselor for 6 weeks after my field experience. So it was a great. I spent almost 4 months in Newfoundland and Labrador. And, I still connect with the members of the church, with the conference administrators. So it was a huge, huge experience for my ministry for sure.
For students considering the field experience program, what advice would you give them?
I mean, do it. I know some students are not too sure if they want to do it. My very first advice is do it. It is not required for graduation here, but I highly recommend doing at least 1 or twice before you graduate. But if you do it with an open heart, open mind. People have different styles, people have different approaches, methods, when it comes to ministry. But my advice is do it with an open heart and mind to learn. But most importantly, let Jesus guide you. Let Jesus lead you. Let Jesus be the center of everything that you do, both in the classroom and also when you go out in the field, to work. Because it's not about us, it's not about the pastor, it's not about the student, but it's about Jesus working through us and reaching out to people's hearts.
What should they expect and how can they make the most of this opportunity?
Yeah, so Berman University is one Adventist university that we have in Canada. It's located in Alberta. For those who are considering theology, first of all, you have to think about your call as well, because taking theology, becoming a pastor is not simply a job, but it's a call. So let your heart be open. Let God speak to you. The theology program is an amazing program because you learn so much, not only in terms of theology, Bible, New Testament, Old Testament, but it also provides an opportunity to grow your experience with Jesus, and that's one of the most important things that you can do. So it's not only about knowing the Bible, it's not only about knowing Greek or Hebrew, but it's about being able to connect and being able to build up this relationship with God, which is the most important thing that a pastor can ever have.
Thank you so much, Enrique, for joining us on Messenger.
Wow, what a journey. Joseph's life had ups, downs, and detours, but God was with him the whole way.
And he is with you too, even when you don't see it and even when it's hard.
Don't give up. Stay faithful. God's not done writing your story.
Thanks for watching, Messenger. See you next time.
Joseph's life reminds us that faith isn't just for mountaintops. It's for the valleys too, for the pits, for the prisons. Whatever you're going through, trust that God is working behind the scenes. Like Joseph, you were made for purpose. If today's discussion has inspired you, consider subscribing to Canadian Adventist Messenger magazine. You can receive a free subscription through your local Seventh-day Adventist church in Canada, or opt for a yearly subscription for just $20. You can also make a difference by becoming an agent of hope and supporting this ministry. Your participation helps us continue spreading God's love and message of hope. To donate, visit agentsofhope.ca, where you can give by debit, credit, Apple Pay, or Google Pay. E-transfers are also accepted at agentsofhope@hopetv.ca. You can mail a check payable to Hope Channel Canada at the following address: Hope Channel Canada, 1148 King Street East, Oshawa, Ontario, L1H1H8. Or give us a call at 1-855-4HOPE-TV. That is 1-855-446-7388. Thank you for being with us today. Keep spreading hope and being a messenger in your community.